Avengers Endgame is out in theaters and shattering box office records. I've just seen the epic film and I have a lot to say about it. This video will be filled with spoilers, so beware. After the events of Infinity War, Endgame had a lot to live up to. I'm a die-hard fan of this stuff, with my love for the material going all the way back to the original comic books. I'm proud to say that I went into Endgame completely spoiler-free. My expectations were through the roof for this movie, and I'm happy to say they were mostly met. Much has been made about the 3-hour running time for the movie, but it didn't feel long at all. It flew by, and honestly, it could have been even longer. I love how the story was really able to take its time and show just how much the world and our heroes have changed since Thanos wiped out half the universe. It's good stuff, and I was never bored by any of it. Thanos destroying the Infinity Stones himself was a great touch, as was having him killed off so early in the movie by Thor. The rest of the film, with the Avengers traveling back in time to once again acquire the Infinity Stones and bring the dead back to life, was excellent. Seeing them travel back to some of the earlier films in the series brought everything together nicely and further hammered home the fact that this film marked the end of an era. The time travel explanation was interesting. I can't remember if this plot was lifted from one of the comic books, but I will say that I liked how this film didn't just erase Infinity War or any of the Marvel movies from existence. The recent X-Men films did this, with Wolverine traveling through time and essentially erasing the previous films from the timeline as if they never happened. Thankfully, that didn't happen here. The events still occurred, everyone remembers what happened, and time still passed by. But the people that were wiped out are now back. Now, let's go through the characters. Iron Man and Captain America rightfully take center stage, but everyone that survived Infinity War has a lot to do. I love how Scott Lang, or Ant-Man, was the one who put the entire plan in motion. He came up with the time travel idea, and it's great that it was him, rather than one of the bigger heroes, that played such an important role in ultimately defeating Thanos. Hawkeye has a great character arc, and I really do love his character. He and Black Widow have a lot of touching scenes, including where she ultimately sacrifices herself for one of the stones. The Hulk was handled perfectly in this movie. He was basically merged with Banner, with both kind of coexisting at once. This also happened in the comic book a few times, and it worked very well here. Thor is broken in this film after the events of Infinity War. He's an out-of-shape, beer-guzzling bum, and he's hilarious in this movie. He still gets his touching scenes and has a lot to do, and I really do love how his character was handled in this. War Machine, and especially Nebula, have some great scenes and character stuff as well. Thanos is voiced to perfection by Josh Brolin. I love what was done with the character, making him and his ultimate goal nearly unstoppable. It made for a lot of suspense in this and Infinity War to have such a powerful villain. Captain Marvel didn't have as much to do in this as I expected. It was explained that she was away assisting other worlds, but she does show up a few times and during the climax. But I was totally fine with that. We just got to know her character in the previous film, so I think it was better having the established heroes take center stage. Captain America wasn't utilized that much in Infinity War, but he's one of the stars here, and for a good reason, as it's probably his final film. I knew going into this that Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. were done with the franchise, so I was actually expecting both of them to die. Having Captain America go back in time to replace the Infinity Stones, and then having him stay with his true love, Peggy, in the past, was an interesting choice. It also leaves the door open just a bit for more Captain America films that can be set during his time living in the past with Peggy. Captain America has always been a man out of time, so it makes sense for the character to have him go back to his own time where he belongs. I didn't care for him passing the Captain America title to Falcon though. Yes, I know this happened in the comics, but why not just retire the character fully? And Captain America is a super soldier. Falcon is just a regular guy. It would have made more sense for Bucky to take over, but even still, I wouldn't have liked that either. Just retire the character and let the new heroes take over. I certainly don't want to see someone other than Steve Rogers as Captain America. And finally, we get to Iron Man. As I suspected, he does die in this. He gives his life to bring everyone back, and it's absolutely a worthy death for such an iconic character. I'm really sad to see him go, along with Captain America. It's strange to me that these actors want to move on from something so huge. They get to be superheroes and be part of this massive worldwide phenomenon. I understand them wanting to do other things, but they could still do that in their off time. I guess I'll just never understand it. But I'd rather these characters end than having the studio recast the roles. And if it does have to be the end for Captain America and Iron Man, then I think they got a fitting send-off in this. I'm curious about Black Widow. She stayed dead in this film, but I thought they were supposed to do a Black Widow movie, so I guess we'll see. During the climax, when all the heroes return to battle Thanos and his army, I have to admit, I got chills. Seeing nearly every single hero from all the films show up, ready for a fight, was great. I do wonder why the heroes from the Marvel Netflix shows never showed up. I would have loved to see Daredevil especially join in the fight. Maybe they just wanted to keep the shows separate from the films. There was a brief scene that was pretty cheesy during the climax. So Spider-Man is trying to get away with Thanos' glove, and Captain Marvel shows up to assist him. He asks something about how she plans on getting through the evil army, and suddenly every single female hero steps into frame, ready to kick butt. So during this gigantic battle, all the female heroes just ended up at that exact spot. I understand the makers were wanting to do a female empowerment moment, but it just came off so cheesy. But overall, I did really love the movie. It's an epic film, and probably the most epic comic book movie of all time. But it's a bittersweet experience to be sure. The movie is a fitting final chapter for the original Marvel films. After this, the series will never be the same as new characters take over. Like I said, the whole thing does make me a little sad, but if some things have to end, then this is a great way to do it, and I can't wait to see the movie again.